Jim Ryan has been the CEO of Sony since 2019, but has been with the company for a combined 28 years. And while that's a very long time and he's seen the company at its height, he's also seen it at its lowest point, which he had brought it to. But now he's retiring, and I've honestly got to say, I couldn't be happier. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. So I wanted to start with this Jamatsu article. It says Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan to retire in March 2024. Now, there are a lot of people praising this on social media, saying this is great, and while I am a little bit worried as to who is going to replace him, he has done a lot of damage to the company. I mean, over the past few years, I have talked so much about video game censorship and Sony getting stricter with content when it comes to third-party developers, yet allowing first-party developers to do whatever they want. And he also is, the big reason why Japanese audiences and Japanese gamers feel like Sony has given up on them. I mean, we have seen Sony definitely start catering a lot more to the West over the past few years under his, control while he was CEO. It says Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan will retire in March 2024 after nearly 30 years with the PlayStation business, the company announced. Sony Group Corporation President, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki will assume the role of Chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment in October 2023 to aid Ryan in his transition. Totoki will also be appointed Sony Interactive Entertainment interim CEO on April 1st, 2024, while continuing his role at Sony Group Corporation, and work closely with Sony Group Corporation Chairman and CEO Yoshida and the management team of Sony Interactive Entertainment to help define the next chapter of PlayStation's future, including the succession of the Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO role. So he is only temporary, but we know that sometimes temporary can lead to long term. I mean, maybe they will decide, wow, he's done a great job, we'll keep him. I don't think so. I do think that probably sometime late next year, early 2025, he will be replaced. Because right now, if they don't have someone to replace him and they feel like it's going to take a while, that's the only reason why they would, announce this interim CEO. Especially because he's not actually taking over for Ryan until April 2024, so it's still quite a ways away, but at the same time, it's worrying, right? Because we don't know how this individual is going to change Sony, even if he's only there in this role for a certain amount of time. But he has been with Sony for quite a while, Sony Group Corporation, which is of course out of Tokyo. It sounds like he's probably just going to be the middleman between, Sony Group Corporation chairman and saying, oh, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and then he's going to do it. But yeah, I mean, Jim Ryan has been with Sony for many years, 28 years, almost 29, and he has been a major part of the company for a long time. That is, something that we can't obviously deny, but we can deny the fact that he says he's done a good job at the company when he hasn't. I mean, he has ruined, a lot at the company, a lot in terms of consumer confidence, right? Because, I mean, I used to be a giant Sony fangirl, and while I have a PlayStation 5 and I use it, and I do enjoy it, don't get me wrong, whenever I buy a game on this console, I am constantly checking to see if things are censored, or if they are altered, or if they are different from other versions that might be on Xbox or PC. It is just a worrying thing. It's like you have paranoia when it comes to content in games. And consumers over the past few years have looked at Sony, seen how much they have ramped up censorship, and have gone, "Ooh, you know what? I'm a little bit worried. I think I'm going to buy this on another platform." And that is something that they have had to worry about, but they've also had to worry about their Japanese audiences because, of course, if you do not remember, when the PlayStation 5 released, they did not launch it when it launched in North America at the same time as when it launched in Japan. Japan was like a month and a half later, and Japanese audiences were furious, feeling like they had been sidelined, like they had been left in the dust. And this has been something we've seen over the past few years. I mean, Jim Ryan even admitted that they were putting a bit of a less focus on Japan, that they were focusing heavily on the West. And I understand, right? They see the West, they see a lot of money, but you can't just leave Japanese audiences in the dust. You have to respect them and honor them. They are the reason why, again, your consoles have done so good over the past, 3 decades. This is how PlayStation grew to be what it is today. This is why PlayStation is a household name now, but they have been stumbling even more recently. I mean, of course, I'm sure you all know about the PlayStation Plus price increases. This infuriated players because it's not just by a little bit. I mean, the PlayStation membership price, the 12-month, which is supposed to be the cheapest, it's supposed to be a bundle and a deal, rose around 20% worldwide. That is a very, very steep amount. I understand going up a little bit each year, trying to adjust to the rate that you think it should be, but raising it 20% all at once. I mean, they faced massive backlash on social media over this. People were absolutely furious and still are because it only just recently happened. And then, of course, we get into the FTC case and all of the things Jim Ryan said that made him, I've got to be honest, look dumb. And this is a major reason why I think that he is out as CEO. I think that he embarrassed the company, and I think that he has now died on the sword. If you do not know, here's a quick wrap up. PlayStation boss reportedly met with regulators to discuss Microsoft's Activision acquisition. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan reportedly met with EU regulators to discuss Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. Earlier this year, and this was, in 2022, Microsoft announced that it intended to purchase publishing giant Activision for just shy of $70 billion. And we actually found out in the FTC case that Jim Ryan and others at PlayStation had actually talked to Phil Spencer and other people at Microsoft and, said, congratulations, this is a great deal, it's going to grow the industry, blah, 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 basically being a friend. And then he actually flew to meet with EU regulators and other companies. And that was actually, in the FTC case. And the whole FTC case, Sony looked like, I gotta be honest, dipshits. Okay, Sony did not look good walking out of that. And I do think that they have decided, Sony Group has decided we've got to get a new CEO, and I do think that that is a major reason why Jim Ryan is out now. And a lot of other people think so as well. I mean, he made the company look really, really bad. And then, of course, on top of all of this, you have censorship. Now, obviously, I talk a lot about censorship on this channel, and I do think that it is a reason why people have been upset with them over the past few years. I don't think it's the only reason, not by any stretch of the means, but I think it's important to point out. I mean, look at all of these videos that I have put up over the past couple of years on Sony censorship. Sony censorship ripple effect kills Lisa Definitive Edition. Sony's puritanical censorship continues. P-Cube forced to censor new visual novel on PlayStation. PlayStation 5 is failing from Sony's censorship and wokeness in Japan, worst console launch in years. Sony's forcing developers to censor violence in in games developers admit. I mean, there are pages and pages and pages here of what Sony has done, all of course under Jim Ryan's leadership. They have been censoring content, forcing third-party developers to tone down their titles, and I do think that it has affected them negatively at this point. Now, of course, since it was announced that he will no longer be with the company, he's stepping down, people have been roasting him online, saying things like, so long, good riddance. I mean, even I put up a tweet that's like waving like bye-bye and blowing a kiss. Again, we might get someone worse, but we do not know that, and I've got to be honest, I think it probably would be hard for them to find somebody worse. I think that there is a lot of things to be hopeful for here. I think that we could potentially get someone better in the position. But yeah, I mean, this is the latest situation. Jim Ryan is stepping down. Of course, Sony is praising him and his work over the years, saying he's done so much positive, but other people, consumers, are pretty happy to hear that this has now happened. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.